welcome to Timmy's Desserts YouTube channel. So today we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic. This topic borders around how I achieve my very moist rich fruit cakes every single time. The reason why I decided to shoot this video is just because of the people that have reached out to me on wanting to get my recipe posted on the general platform. Maybe someday soon I will do that, but for now it's only exclusively available for those in the membership platform. And because I believe a lot in fairness and I do not want to take them for granted, I decided to find a way around letting you guys know what I do every time to make sure that my rich fruit cakes turn out amazing all the time. And I believe that these simple tips and tricks will be able to be applied into your own recipes, because at the end of the day it's all about technique, eventually. So let me get right into it now. As you see here now, we already have a properly baked rich fruit cake here. So for you to have, I'm going to be unwrapping this for you to see what it looks like through and through, okay, and then I'll be wrapping it back. So this brings us back to look at what this rich fruit cake looks like from the bottom side. Look at the top side of it. Now you can see from this video that this rich fruit cake, despite the fact it being a buttered based cake, it has a whole lot of moisture, and this moisture has been further heightened by the fact that I actually compressed the warmth of the cake at the get-go when it was getting warm. So I didn't allow it to air dry totally so that it doesn't dry out. So at the point where I got it warm, where it was cool to warm, alright, I wrapped it up with a cling film. Now this is what a cling film looks like. It comes in this big pack and then also can come in the large pack. Even from this video, that this is a very moist cake. It has a lot of structure, okay, but doesn't ruin the fact that it has to be moist. So the first thing I always do, okay, let me talk about this at the very end. Let me start from the very get-go. For you to bake up your fruit cakes, right, no matter the kind of fruit you use, this is what I do. I blend my soaked fruits. Yeah, that is my #1 trick. You know why I do that? When you blend your fruits with the I'm not telling you to blend it with water, please, no water. You need to soak your fruits prior to use, maybe 2 days. So this trick actually works for those that get urgent fruit cake orders that have always been limited, thinking that you need to soak up your fruits for months so you can't take up any fruit cake order. Now this is the only thing, this is the only hack you need. You can even soak up your fruit for a few hours and then you just blend it. The act of blending your mixed fruit with the alcohol further infuses, it brings out the flavor. It's just logical, right? It's like you want to blend pepper, right? You know, when you blend it, the flavor comes out. So that's just it here. So I blend mine not into a paste, just to have a coarse texture. Now when you put this into your batter, it only helps you to have an even moister texture of cake, like a result, because now at that point the fruit has actually, you have busted it open, all right? You have released the potency of the fruits even more than you would have done if you had soaked it for more. And this is another joker. If you do that, you're going to get a result of a cake as amazing as if you had soaked your fruit for as long as 4 or 5 months, because this is like a fast track process of doing that. So yeah, whatever fruit you want to use, sultanas, whatever kinds of fruit, raisins, whatever, you can always soak them with a good brandy as seen here. This is a brandy. I didn't tell you to use maybe beer or anything. Brandy is actually the #1 alcohol that is actually advisable for you to work with fruit cakes, okay, because they have a very high content of alcohol. This is 40%, and we all know that alcohol doesn't go bad, and you know that whatever you put in your cake is what is going to reflect in your cake. And that is the reason why, you know how alcohol ages. That is why the longer your rich fruit cake is, as long as you have the right quantity of alcohol and you follow through with the right step, the soaking and all of that, your cake is supposed to taste even a lot better months after you made them, because it's called the maturing, the maturing process. So if you eat a fruit cake of today, it's supposed to taste even better if you taste it 2 weeks time. That's the dynamics, and that's how rich fruit cakes have always been from time past. So the first thing you need to know is, for you to get your flavor of your rich fruit, soaked rich fruits intensely in your cake without even overly using too much fruit, please blend them into a coarse texture. I don't have any readily. I would have shown you what it looks like, not into a paste, just like you're chopping it, but then you're using a blender. So that's the number one trick that I use that has worked for me over time. You see, this is my trick, and it makes my clients wonder. A lot of people tell me that, oh, your rich fruit cakes don't have those large chunks, and now it's a win-win. Why? Because there are some clients that do not even want those large chunks of rich fruit. Like for every bite they see these large chunks. For those that want it, I still add a little bit more, for you to have like a perfect balance. But that part of me processing it so that it gets distributed, scattered everywhere, they can't feel the lump, but they know they're eating rich fruit cake, is not anything I can ever omit. So that's the number one trick. You need to use a good brandy, a good product. It doesn't have to be overly expensive. There are good brands that are very affordable, but you need to know that when you are soaking up your fruits, always make sure that the brandy that you use cover up on the level surface of fruits. The fruits shouldn't be more than the alcohol. The alcohol should sit over the fruit. So no matter how many fruits you're using, the alcohol has to be more. And that is because you know how you are soaking it. So I expect that if you soak up your fruits today, by tomorrow the alcohol will have been swallowed. Like it will have like come up, like how it is, like it will have soaked up the alcohol, the liquid. So you need to top it up as the time goes on. And this is actually a more budget friendly way of making your rich fruit cakes, right? Because if you soak up your fruit for months, you need to top it up about every 2 weeks to make sure that your fruit doesn't like get past the alcohol level, because you stand the risk of getting your soaked fruits to get stale. You don't have enough alcohol, so you need to keep topping up. And you know how everything is now. If you can avoid doing that, why not? You can always use this option. Whilst when you blend up your fruits into the coarse texture, you then go ahead to add up some on the level. So this doesn't actually soak up too much alcohol, because this gets you to a point where you don't overly soak up your fruits to get your cake too intensely soaked in alcohol. Trust me. So you have like a balance. So when you follow through with this technique, that would actually save you a lot of alcohol, and you still get the same amazing result, and your cake is still going to be able to sit nicely for a whole lot of months, as long as you get it well preserved in the freezer. Okay, so that takes us to the next point. Now the next point is, once you bake up your fruit cakes, ensure that you don't overly slap on too much sugar into your cake, because you know how alcohol is with the fruit. It caramelizes and then it infuses it to give it even a more tasty taste, a more tasty result. Yeah, so if you put up too much sugar, you're gonna get like a slapping effect. So let me just go very briefly now. Ensure to use very good product of alcohol. Ensure to use very good browning products, not the ones that have this bitter aftertaste. Okay, there are a whole lot of good brands out there, because when you use the ones that are actually very rich already, you don't need to put up too much that will actually give you that bitter aftertaste or an overly dark looking color of rich fruit cake. I like it when my rich fruit cakes don't look like chocolate cake. Like you can see it now, it doesn't look like chocolate cake, and it doesn't look like vanilla, obviously. So it has its own color, like this light brown color that it comes in. And for you to have this an extra appealing result, especially for those that sell this for their Christmas treats, there is no rocket science to having your rich fruit cakes have this on the top of it. Once you're done mixing and you pour it into your prepared pan, all you need to do is just to spice things up with some cherries, some red cherries, green cherries, some extra, for those that do not have nut allergies, you can put coconuts, you can put almonds, you can put cashew nuts, but definitely nuts. But definitely what I'm trying to say is, if your clients do not have nut allergies, you can always explore pistachios. There are different kinds of nuts to give it an appealing look that would even make it more interesting to want to be tasted. But if you are somebody that have clients that have allergies, ensure to get a go ahead from them before you slap on some nuts, so that you don't cause more problems at the end of the day. So that said, ensure that when you bake up your rich fruit cakes, whilst it is still warm to touch, Wrap it up with cling film. I earlier said that, so that you can seal in the moisture, and then immediately pop it into a nylon bag to aid that you don't get any bit of moisture from the freezer or any bit of water or any wetness into the cake, because that is one way to get your fruit cakes go bad very fast. Tie it up very well and pop it into the freezer. Let it touch the bottom part of your freezer so that the intensity of the cold temperature on your freezer would help it to firm up rock hard. So by the time you bring it out in about a week, that is if you want to preserve it for a longer time, bring it out every 2 weeks if you have good electricity. Alright, so when you bring it out, you can then pat it up or spray it lightly with some alcohol like this, or you could even use the one that is still floating over your soaked with fruit. Pour it into a spray bottle and just spray on the bottom, the sides, and the top. Okay, that is to reactivate the alcohol content in it and to further preserve the lifespan. And then you wrap it up again and then you pop it back into the freezer. But the thing about it is, whether you do this or you do not do this, this is for those that get an urgent order for fruitcake. You don't have anything to worry about. You can get an order for fruitcake on a Monday now with this technique and bake it up for a Saturday, even a Friday, and your rich fruitcake is still going to taste like it has actually aged over the months. That's the good news here. So I think that's going to be all for today. Let me go in quick caps now. I said use good alcohol, use good raisins, use good products of brownies. Ensure that immediately your cake is baked and warm to touch. Wrap up with cling film. Bring it out in a few weeks, 2 weeks precisely, 1 week. Re-soak it or just touch it lightly with alcohol. Re-wrap it again, pop it back into the freezer. But for those that do not want to go through that stress, I could just bake it today. It's just as good as amazing if you do it and you send it out to your clients immediately. That's why for me, for instance, my rich Christmas fruit cakes, I do not bake them months ahead. I bake them just a few weeks or like a week before going out, because I'm very confident that it's still going to taste like I baked it over time. Because for those that know rich fruit cakes, they know when it tastes aged, and when it tastes aged, it tastes rich and luxurious as a typical rich fruit cake is. So I think that's going to be all for now. I don't know if you'll be able to apply this into your own recipe, because what I said now is universal: alcohol, fruits, storage technique, and that's going to be about it. So for you to have a good rich fruit cake, you don't need to think too hard. All right, with all of these tips, you should be guaranteed to have a good result every time. So I think till next time, guys, this is going to be all for today. Till next time, guys, I remain your favorite girl, your favorite baker girl. I'm going to be going ahead to rewrap this and popping it back into the freezer. I only brought it out for illustration purpose. All right, and when it's actually the day my client eats it, it's going to be sent out to them, and I don't even love it. So till next time, guys, bye.